Online shoe and clothing giant Zappos is trying something new, but it's not a perfect fit for every employee. In April, Zappos embraced a management mindset called Holacracy. Workers oversee themselves.
Getting rid of the boss may be a dream to some, but more than 200 Zappos employees took a buyout to leave during the transition. Brian Robertson developed the concept. He's the author of Holacracy, the new management system for a rapidly changing world. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How exactly does this work?
Yeah, so if you think about the way a company is typically run, it's kind of like a feudal system. You have kings and lords and barons, and internally, and peasants.
I was going to say, we're the serfs. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the politics and the games. It's like Game of Thrones in our organizations today. Holacracy is a different system. It's a totally different way to run a company, and one that looks more like our social lives, our neighborhoods, where we don't have a boss. There's no boss neighbor telling me what to do. We each have our house, our property. We each live our lives and lead our purpose as best we can with a lot of autonomy, and yet we collaborate with each other. It brings that inside a company.
But don't most companies need leaders and managers?
Well, I'd say most companies need leaders, yes, but managers, I don't know. Right? So leaders happen anywhere. In fact, we need more leaders. We need everyone to be a leader. We need you and anyone else in a company to be a leader of their role and their piece in this system. We don't necessarily need managers who are just there to coordinate the actions of others. They're kind of like parents, and I think we can be adults together in companies.
You talk to any head of a company or whatever, and they say, look, in order to judge success, you have to measure it to achieve it. How do you measure if everyone has the same responsibility?
Yeah, well, you don't have everyone with the same responsibility. A lot of people think when you throw out managers, it's just one big, consensus fest in the company, and you still need work breakdown. You can just get there different ways.
Who's in charge of enforcing that people are getting their work done?
Yeah. Peer-to-peer responsibility goes a long way, like in the military, right? Where you have what stops people from just deserting? It's not the officer telling you to sit there. It's the sense of my peers are counting on me. They're counting on me to carry my piece of this, and we're all in it together. And I think that's what you see in a lot of companies using Holacracy as well.
But it sounds like democratic chaos, I think, to a lot of people hearing it. Because everybody, to Nora's point, I always think hierarchy and structure is important in a company. And isn't it difficult to get the boss to give up some kind of authority?
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they hear no bosses, they think it must be anarchy, it must be chaos, you know? But it's actually quite the opposite. With Holacracy, because it's bringing in a new structure, a different structure. It's a lot more like a neighborhood where I have clear boundaries. I know that I can do whatever I want with my house and my property, but not to mess with my neighbors. Holacracy brings the same thing into a company, so you know, here's my turf, my territory, what I control, what I do, my responsibilities, and I know not to mess with my neighbors, and there are processes that are added to sort that out. There's
How do you account for a number we just saw on the screen here, which is that when Zappos implemented this, out of its 1,500 employees, 210 decided to take a buyout?
Yeah, I think the much more interesting number there is 1,300 people turned down months and months of pay to stay and be part of a huge transition in the way the company's run. And that's actually really exciting. And I think in any huge change, you're going to lose low double-digit percentage-wise people. It's not uncommon.
Are there other examples of where this is working?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a really cool coaching company up in Canada, Precision Nutrition. They're in the business of helping people lose weight and change their lives. And they've brought Holacracy in to do this. David Allen Company, author of Getting Things Done, a best-selling business book. His company runs with it. Medium, run by one of the founders of Twitter. Lots of companies, about 300 all over the world today.
You had something great in the book that you said the research shows when a city doubles in innovation or productivity increases, but when companies get bigger, the innovation and productivity goes down.
Yes, absolutely. This is something I learned from Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos. One of his first questions to me was, I want to run my company more like a city where when we grow, we don't get bureaucracy setting in, we actually get more innovation and creativity.
There is a former Zappos manager who says he tried Holacracy at his startup and got bogged down by all the meetings and ultimately abandoned it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants more meetings.
Yeah, really.
Nobody.
No, absolutely not. So it's not an easy transition, right? It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of patience. It takes time, for sure. It's not easy to tear apart these feudal systems that we have in companies and go to something new. It's like learning a new sport, right, or a new game. There's new rules to learn, but once you learn them, you don't think about the rules, and the meetings fade away. In fact, you end up with meetings that are so productive, people leave them saying, I can't wait till my next meeting. That was the best use of time I can imagine.
I can't imagine that moment.
Who are those creatures, Brian?
I know. Who are they? Brian Robertson, so good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.